Wednesday, March 12th, 2025. It's 5:30 PM. Calling the Public Works Committee to get a meeting in order. Let's stand for a pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All present here tonight. Donnie Kern present.
Caleb Garn, present.
Randy Crone, present.
And the next item on the agenda is February 12th, 2025, Public Works meetings, minutes.
Move to accept the minutes as presented.
Randy Crone, second.
Motion made and seconded to accept the minutes as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. The motion is carried. Public comment on agenda items, 2 minutes per person, 14 minutes per topic. Anybody wish to give the?
I have a general comment on dog park.
Okay.
Locations. I would like to.
First name and
Chris Hawley, I'm from the area. I would like to dissuade people from trying to put a dog park in a disc golf park because they don't really mix. I don't think there's enough space. You're gonna be creating issues. I have data, if you guys would like, on how much traffic the disc golf course sees. I can share that with you guys at any time if you want, but the last 5 years, there's been on one app that tracks that sort of data. There's been like 1,700 rounds on average per year, which is for a season that goes from like, say, March to maybe November. It's a pretty busy time. People spend about 2 hours on average out there, and I'd say maybe half the people don't use this app. So whatever numbers are on there, it's probably double. And if you're gonna have people releasing dogs or doing whatever there, it's just gonna be a headache, I believe. There are better options in the community, I believe, where a dog park can be put. I would support a dog park being put in the community, and if it's not at LaGranger, I will donate my volunteer time to help install one.
thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Any other comments?
Me.
Okay.
So Deb Kohler, 470 Forest Drive, Village of Somerset. I'm also here to talk about the dog park. When I saw it on the agenda for tonight, I have heard that no place is off the radar anymore. And so I know when I attended the Village Park meeting, there was a resident who spoke up and said they would like a dog park. After that meeting, I had a lovely conversation with her. I have been in touch with her the last few days. She is in Arkansas till April. She has given me permission to speak for her, and I wanted to read what she wrote to me. I think we should look elsewhere in the village. Isn't there land around the hockey rink? I think our community park should be available for music and places for picnics, a place to relax, and a place to enjoy the river. And I'll just reiterate how I feel about this, that the village park and along the area along the river is really, it's a citizen's place. Somewhere I think that we need to look at developing a nice park for the residents who live here and pay taxes. And what else was I gonna say about that? You know, that's something that I'm still advocating for. And I know that if we did move forward with looking at it being in the village park, I could also fill this room with people saying that just is not the place it should be. So I wanted to kind of restate that there's other land, I think, that we can look at for a dog park.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anyone online wishing to give public comment on agenda items?
It's basic.
Brenda.
Thank you for your public comments. We'll close public comments and we'll move on to agenda items of general updates on active projects.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Hey, Chuck. Good evening, Chuck.
Good evening. So, lift station projects, you know, they're getting going on that. We're busy, you know, on that site with Latitude Development too, you know, with the lift station in particular, I guess we alluded to it, but the casings are still are missing, and the the state is stepping in and getting the county out there, and they're gonna do their best, because we dig where they logically should be, we dig where the plan show where they should be, we've brought out ground penetrating radar to see if we can't find some sort of, evidence of disturbance.
So in Bob's update, he said that there was some mitigation plan if it wasn't there or if it wasn't installed. What are the delays if we have to install these pipes ourselves?
Well, it's,
Worst case scenario, if we don't find them.
well, we gotta work with the county as far as getting, will they allow us to directionally drill, or, we'll have to drill. put
Yeah, and I'm not
casings
really
in and that.
super concerned about who's gonna pay for it right now or that. I know it's gonna cost money, but if we don't get this TID making money, we're all losing out.
Yeah,
So next year, is it gonna be a year, 2 years?
no, I mean, it could still get done this year, that's, that's not really an issue from my perspective.
Well, if the county.
And then,
puts it
you know,
up,
the- and the-
I think they could-
and
they
the-
could get the permits through,
The
right?
casings are for the stuff on the southern part, the stuff on TID 5 can all go forward without these casing pipes.
Okay, so we're not holding anything up at this time.
No, it's deplored though, but there's an agreement with Ford.
We'll deal with that when the time comes. I mean, at this point in time, it's still, we're moving forward with.
Yeah, we're doing what we can.
And then you'll be able to recoup some type of refund then, Bob, I'm assuming from them or from whoever said they installed it and it's not there. What's our recourse there?
Well, so far I've just talked with the DOT, and the DOT said, well, we'll schedule a meeting with St. Clair County and the DOT in the village.
So at least open to working with us to giving us some of that money back or whatever
They
they
said
told
that
us.
they'll take over the exploratory. I said, look, we got $10,000 or more into something that should have cost $1,000. So this is, and I shared with them, I said, the village claimed we put water and sewer stubs in to a property and a private developer came and they weren't finding them. We can bet that they're gonna be asked for a reimbursement or some type of, compensation for it.
Yeah, well, it's in all of our best interests to get that up and running and get the property value up there, so. It's our tax.
I just hope everybody cooperates and,
Do we need to tap the brakes on this until they start the exploratories on it rather than us pushing forward? Or do we move forward on this and then find out that later on that they're gonna try to stiff us with the bill?
Well, we gotta move forward as far as serving TID 5. That part of it.
But that's just for the lift station underneath we're talking about just underneath the highway to service the Plurd property, correct?
Yeah,
And that's what I'm referencing to, is that we're still moving forward with TID 5.
Yep.
Lift station's getting put in, right?
Yep.
We can't do anything underneath the highway until we find the lines, right?
correct.
And we've already got 10 times what we figured we'd have into that. My question is, do we need to tap the brakes on getting underneath the line, or can we still move forward and just stop right there until they get the lines figured out to get across the highway?
Well, I understand your question. I think it behooves all our interests to keep this thing moving forward, not to tap the brakes but to keep pushing them to make progress, right?
Pushing the state to find
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that.
Yep.
What I'm saying is us to move forward with covering the costs and the bills to find out that we're not getting recouped them costs without some kind of an agreement with them or understanding.
Well, at this point, today moving forward, the state's taking over the exploratory digging, so you shouldn't incur any more costs. Unless they come back and they say, you know what, we're not gonna,
What if they can't find them and then they gotta,
well, then, that's
we've already paid for them to be underneath there, right?
Yep.
So they would have to put them under,
that would be our argument.
right? Of course, we paid for something, we should expect to get. what we paid
That's
for.
our position,
Okay,
right?
that's.
They might have a different
We're not,
position.
but we're not holding, we're not
Yes.
holding up anything on this side,
No,
but
let's just hope for them, for their sake and our sake, that those are in the ground. Because there's as-bills with notes written on it as somebody observed that going in, shot grades. And if they're not in there,
That's what I can't understand, why we can't find them. If we got as-built and you said that we've radared the ground and still couldn't locate them according to their as-built.
well, the radar is only good to 12 feet deep.
Okay,
you know, so there's, so it's,
okay, so
so,
it
but,
might be deeper than that?
yeah, it's possible.
It should still find a trench.
It should still find a trench, you know,
We
it should,
shouldn't find any evidence of any disturbed soil.
Sorry, don't smell right.
Am I wrong, or is the third property part of tip five? It is.
But there's gotta be some type of extenuating circumstance clause where if we don't have those pipes in there, we can't run them, we're not gonna be able to run it under there, that's not our, we paid for it.
That's in the agreement, so we're covered. It's
Okay.
out of, you know, things that are out of our control.
force majeure or whatever,
Oh, I don't-
All right,
that's why we have an agreement.
it's a Douglas thing.
Okay, I think I'm good on that one then. Thank you for the update. Keep looking, good luck.
See. Pineville, you know, we've been reviewing streetlights with them and, you know, Bob and I have been going back and forth with the developer to figure out where we're gonna need lights in the development. And we found out we need the original development as well as the first edition and the subsequent editions. You know, we'll be monitoring what happens with the Ryan parcel and those sorts of things. I looked at conceivably, Donnie, where you could potentially capture that water and pipe it, you know, before it hits Ryan's property there, but.
Well, piping it is not really what I was talking about, but I read your email and we'll cover that at a different time, but I think, I need to show you what the map is of where the grades were and what I was referencing to as far as the swale cutback. Because you were talking about piping it and I was talking about, once you pipe it, you speed that water up. I was just talking about cutting in a swale to allow for natural drainage upon a significant rainfall.
Well, and but to do that, you're encroaching on Ryan's property.
No, you wouldn't be encroaching on his property at all. That's why I'm saying, I will show you where I'm talking about, because it's on the stormwater property of the village portion. We're already past his property altogether. We leave his property completely alone.
Okay, I guess, yeah,
That's
you're
what-
gonna have to draw me a picture, Donnie.
I got the layout. I've showed it to, you know,
Yeah,
Bob
me-
before, and I could show it to you too. So,
Okay, thank you for that. I
Yep.
Apologize if I was misinterpreting your,
yeah, you're in a different area. I'm not even talking about touching his property at all. I'm talking about what would be completely south of there. And east.
is that an issue for Ryan? But it's not.
We'll
Okay.
take it up, you know, outside of this for discussion on it if you may.
And, you know, as far as Blindside Prairie goes, you know, we're still waiting for, you know, the DNR would ask for an amendment. 'Cause there's some erosion control and some disturbances there that need to be addressed. And they've,
That's on the future phase is that
yeah,
topsoil's been removed and they have stockpiles on there stabilized. So I'll send a message out to her tomorrow to see where they're at with that.
Could you send us the updated punch list from November 2021, 2024, when you have a moment? There's been some, I was just over there, walked, there was some issues with, and I sent you guys an email from a situation with the resident over there, whose children wandered onto the, you know, construction site, so to speak, or right on the edge of their property. And it was right on the edge of their property. I went over there and seen where he went and got stuck in the mud. So they were just playing in the backyard, wandered off his property, went right straight down to their knees and left their boots in there, got stuck in, but, we could talk about that, you know, another deal, because it's not on our deal, but I'd like to just see what that, punch list is. Also, there's, I noticed there was some, dirt that was by where that rock wall is formed. There's like drainage and stuff seeping through that. And, I think you're starting to see some erosion come through that rock wall past the silt fence or whatever they have for retaining that soil back there. Might wanna just take a look at that, see if that's something
Bob,
that caused that wall to fail.
where are we sitting with any possible builders to work with preferred properties to put anything in out there? Now that Capstone is gonna be doing their own.
Capstone's continuing to negotiate, taking control of that.
Okay.
But the current, land though is still owned, the lots that are there are still just owned by Citywide right now, right? Because Capstone is relinquished its, any kind of homeowner, you know, there was a letter that was sent out that they said that they don't own anything anymore in that homeowners association, so they relinquished their any kind of you know,
Option to purchase
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly.
Yeah,
because they don't own anything, it's just Citywide does.
now that we've had this spring thaw and everything else and we're getting warmer weather, we can send, I'll send my inspector up from TID, from the lift station project over to update the punch list and get that to you guys.
Thank you.
And
Probably
company,
probably the rest of the
yeah,
committee, so that we all know. We'll get around.
Yeah, and we attended the open house and, we could talk a little bit about the dog park later when we get to that agenda item.
Any other questions for?
I was wondering if you have any thought, or is it on the agenda, but just wondering what the next steps were for the park improvements, but that's on that, that's under 5 there, so.
Thank you for the update.
Unfinished business, timeline of meetings with public on village park improvements, I think that's what you were
Yeah.
referencing to right
Yeah,
there.
right there.
Nice segue, appreciate that.
So I think we need to pick a date for our next meeting in the park. I was reviewing the calendar. And I think we should pick a likely date and then a plan B rain date. That first week in May, I believe it's starting on May, I wanna say 5th.
Cinco de Mayo,
I felt like that was a good. I thought that was far enough out that we're likely to have some decent weather.
we'll have the growth by then too.
Yep. So maybe we do a Tuesday first pick and a Thursday rain date.
Caleb, but I thought we were going to hit this before the Public Works meeting on the 16th of April. Do you want to move that out so we can look at something on the before the 14th of May?
I think we should only because of the weather.
Okay. All right.
I want,
So
my
you're
hopes
saying-
are the better the weather is, the better the turnout is.
You're saying like, what day again?
Like May 6th as the likely date, and then May 8th as a possible rain alternate.
I can't do May 6th, but that doesn't mean,
What about 7th? Brandon?
I can do the 7th.
Wednesday?
Wednesday. Figure at 6 p.m.
I think that's a good time slot.
Yeah.
Let's make that.
Chance.
May
7th of May.
And then you wanna do
What would be a rain date then? The following week or?
The next day, the 8th.
I could do that.
That could, oh no, I guess that wouldn't conflict with anything. So yeah, that would do.
You want 6 o'clock?
And a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded for all the second meeting, discussing timelines of being on the village park improvements at Village Park on May 7th, 6 p.m. with a rain date of May 8th at 6 p.m. Discussion.
Are you gonna want me or a landscape architect or a planner there or anything, or no?
Well, it depends on what they're willing to offer, or they're just gonna listen to what the, input is gonna be, because we're gonna be walking the area, and probably more with, I would say probably more with Public Works and maybe having, park supervisor down there to see what's
We could probably write down any questions we had.
Yeah.
Give
I
them
don't
to you.
think it's important, Chuck.
Yeah, I just wanna get it on people's calendars if it needs to be, so I'm not advocating one way or the other.
Yeah, I think.
I think you just wanna look at it, you've kinda got some framework now from us and that sort of thing, and if,
I think we just get a few big printouts, some 7x11 sheets, and then we can hand them out, so as people are walking around and say, this is what could be here, let's all dream together.
Sure.
do, and, well, staff would have any printouts that you would need, or if you,
Yeah.
I think so.
yeah,
Emily
let me
sent
know if you need something,
Yeah, and Emily sent me the,
okay?
her
But I think
presentation.
the one thing we really need to get the ball rolling on is getting everyone together as far as school board, us, town board, on where we're gonna put that baseball field.
On the motion,
Oh, sorry.
on the motion, and then we can talk about that issue, but on the motion of, timeline meetings, May 7th and May 8th as a rain day at 6 P.M. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Okay, motion carried. We'll put that, your discussion on our future agenda item.
Yeah. Yeah, we get that's,
If that works for you.
yeah, nope, it's on the.
New business, discussion possible recommendation, AT lease renewal.
What does that mean?
He has, antennas on our water tower downtown.
Ooh, revenue stream?
Yeah,
Oh,
so,
I thought they got rid of them.
no, that was Sprint, or T-Mobile.
Oh, one of them did, okay.
And their lease is coming up at the end of the year. So they sent over some proposals.
What was the last lease? How long?
I think it was 10 years. It was 5 with another 5 automatically renewed. Unless,
Can we get a comparison to see what that lease is, because they're looking for a extension all the way to 2051 here.
yep, so they want 25 years.
Right. I'd like to, if we can, table this, so we can review that as well before we make I mean, we got time, right? December 1st, before the lease is up.
Dude, he really wanted a response back to him by March 11th. I reached out and just said, I don't have a council meeting until the 18th. He says, that's fine. But he said if he could get something as quickly as possible after that date, he'd appreciate it.
Is that something you're willing to, we can get to the full board meeting?
Possibly, I don't know, if you can get that, can you get that at a full board? I mean, the discussion I have is I'm trying to see where would that, does that money go to the water? Yep. Okay, so it all goes to water, okay. Cause I didn't see anything in the revenue stream on that. Is that something that just an annual payment that was in the budget, or?
Yeah, there's they currently pay $17,099.83
Per year, term
per year. And then that additional $300 for a generator and another $300 for another piece of equipment they have up there that I'm not sure what it's called.
Per annual?
Per month. So the total is $24,415.83.
So they wanna.
That's on one.
Why are they dropping it to 18.5? Are they taking out something?
No, I think that 18.5 is that base, so
That's the 17,990?
Yep.
Well, they go 18.5, 20,000, and then they got a 260 lump sum and a 245. It's kind of a lot to absorb, just in looking at this,
that's why I got it up to you
Yep.
2 weeks prior to tonight's meeting, so you could ask me those questions and I could have had that prepared for you.
Okay. So what do you recommend?
I would recommend option 3.
rest of the lease is the same.
I have this talk from Paul to review the legal language because it gets a little bit, where I'm assuming things and I'm not sure if I'm assuming it correctly, so. We have to review that to make sure that we weren't putting ourselves in a situation we couldn't get out of.
Has he got back to you yet on it?
No.
I agree with you. I'm not in favor of the option 4, 18.5, but I just don't understand why they would put 18.5, 20,000 and then a lump sum of 245 and 260. Unless the 300, the $600 ones were, you know, I don't understand why they would
I think
offer that.
there's some utilities that are probably hungry for money.
On the lump sum, yeah, I get that, but with why the $1,500 additional per annum, just something to bite on?
So it compounds at a later date, but the end numbers for option 3 are 316,382, and for option 4, it's 610,300. So it's about $3,000 more on option 4 than it is option 3.
Over the term of the lease. Well, what if we told them we didn't want to have an extension through 2051?
That's fine. They can come back and say we're more comfortable with the 10-year. And for them to put something together.
I just don't like tying the hands of future boards that far down the road. You know, you know, a 10-year deal, we can come in back and review it.
The tower rehab project, if we don't make 30 years out of that tower, it's because something happened that, you know, that tower should be there well into past this proposal. But I don't know what's going to happen in the community in 99 years.
Well, 10% rate increase only gives us 2% per year, and that actually annuums over that, you know, that's right, I was looking at. I get what you're saying, now I see what you're saying with the starting in 2026 versus 2031.
One of the things you might want to ask Paul is, you know, as far as maintenance of the tower, are they required to remove at their expense and replace?
Yeah, that's in our current language, so
It is?
we have to incorporate.
Just to make sure, yeah, because especially in light with that project coming up, you don't want to bear that cost.
Yep, so this would fall into amendment number 6. There's been 6 amendments to the lease dating back to 1999. So it would be infused back into that document, which would have that language in there.
Okay.
Which is, from what I understand, pretty solid. Other communities have requested it from us because.
Could you do me a favor? I know you ran them numbers by and they were fast. I couldn't write them as fast, but I know we got option 1 and option 2. Could you run option 3's per annum again and option 4? 610
Sure.
for option 4 and 613 for option 3. But if we were to cut that back, that would drop that price down, right? Is that the other amounts going to stay the 600 per month for the generator and the other?
We could ask them,
Or is that
we could
gonna,
ask them to up that.
that I would say that should be involved with the 10% for 5 years, right? I'm just talking. I think if we're increasing on rent, we should increase on rent on everything, and that if we got a $300 per month land lease or whatever that they have there, shouldn't we get 10% on that every 5 years too? That would be my suggestion. And I'm still struggling with a 30-year lease. Guys, opinions?
I'm good with, I would take option 3 as it is, I guess, if it makes it easier at the end of the day. And if the difference is a couple $1,000s. Say Bob, the time going back and forth.
We'll go back, that's not a problem one.
No.
So I can respond back to him prior to the, well, we got the 12th. So I can respond back to them with.
Caleb?
Agree.
Agree with what?
Option 3, with your points and
Is that a motion?
I don't care about the 30 years.
Was that a motion?
Sure.
Second,
Motion made and seconded to recommend option 1 with the caveat of increasing the additional,
option 3.
I'm sorry, option 3, thanks, that's what I got you around here, so option 3 with the caveat of the additional costs of $600 per month to be and indexed, the same, percentage increase every 5 years as the rent. Starting effective 2031, right? Is that right?
It's for full board.
Are we saying,
recommendation.
yeah, are we saying, well, he's gotta get it approved first, but we're sending it back to them, and if they agree to it, then we can bring it to the full board, right?
Yep, and I can see if he will advance the same, keep the same schedule as he has on here. Option 3 and 4, that they start in 2026 and not 2031. If you wish that I do that, that's not a problem.
Is that your amended motion?
I feel they're
Amended.
typically expecting a counter offer from a municipality, so.
So 300, we basically got $600 going to 660 starting 2026 then, right? And indexing 10% every 5 years. Is that right? And option 3 starting in 2026, that will make it even greater than what we currently have.
Second, that amended motion.
You have any questions on that? Okay. Motion made and seconded to, recommend option 3 with the caveat of taking 600 to 660, starting effective 2026, in addition to that, option 3 indexing it effective 2026 and not 2031 with 30-year lease. Did I get that right?
25-year. Goes up to 2051.
I'm sorry, 2051, I'll just say that.
Yep.
My math was off.
Yep. Okay.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Nay. Motion carried. Okay, only one question on this. Will you get an answer back for the full board meeting then on the possible response from them on our recommendation?
I'll send it out first thing tomorrow.
Okay,
Tell them that we have a board meeting on the 18th, so I would get something prior to that.
there it is.
Brian,
Misplacement of minutes.
do you want that on the consent agenda or a separate item?
Can't be on the consent agenda. It's gotta be brought to the full board because we have to get approval from them before we can bring it there.
We're just working on the.
Yeah.
Village board.
Am I right on that?
agenda.
That's got once you get approval, then you can bring it to the full board with our
Yeah.
recommendation.
Well, it'll-
Perfect.
Water tower number 1 reconditioning proposal.
What do you think, Bob?
Figure out what color it's gonna be yet? I like purple.
Logo, okay, you gotta figure out the logo. You can set up an ad hoc committee to decide those things.
When do we start?
Well, I wanted this well in advance, so we're in time for, to figure out our funding, our financing. And if it's more lucrative for us to go out to the safe drinking water loan, or if it's something that we wanna pay cash or a combination of. So
Eller's gonna weigh in on that.
that'll be vetted out by Ellers, okay, yeah. But right now, there's quite a bit of stuff that I feel needs to be identified just because of the way that the type of that tower is. Has a lot of weld joints. Multi-leg are typically a little bit more.
We have a scheduled start time on something like this then, if once we approve it? Or is it something when we gotta get it vetted for financing first?
No, we can start on it right away.
We Design this year. Recondition next year.
Yeah, so the hope is to go out to bids either later this year or it's early next year. But the hope is later this year, November, December.
6-week project, 5 weeks of inspection.
$6,506.
Plus 3,500 warranty.
That's for painting and the inspecting and everything?
No, that's just the engineering.
Just the engineering.
I think the total project is like $650,000.
I know, I was gonna say, this came in well under.
Well, what you gotta hope for is the tariff money continues, cause then all these
Wait,
tower companies will be in
So-
so dire need of work that they'll be looking for paint
so
jobs.
wait, you're telling what is the engineering? You're gonna have to put the
Well, it's not me,
thing
This
we
is
pick and
KLM.
put it on there?
this is the
Just a question on this
This is a
topic.
competitor.
the design and spec, this is, the design and the specs.
What's the additional third-party coating inspection time required and approved by engineer will be charged at a rate of $8,702 per week? What does that mean?
That's to mimic and then them to come back and check first coat, primer, second coat, or first base coat, second base coat, and then it meets.
So will it be,
What do you call it? The certification of the painting?
Yeah.
Adherement
Right.
guy.
They're going to they're NAC
Exactly.
qualified and.
Why doesn't this get doged? Can't we doge this?
There's a guy that does that, and that's all he does.
Yeah.
well, here's a question. You got $2,000 in owner antenna inspections, 9,500 and AT&T cellular from escrow. So are we paying that?
That is gonna be paid out to us from AT&T.
Okay, so this actually is down by 11,000, right? $500?
Yep.
But what I'm trying to understand is you got 76,506.50 plus 3,500 for warranty inspection in 2028. And then you got an additional third-party coating inspection. Is that in addition to that is what I'm trying to understand on that? Cause
Yeah, if there's a reason that I'm questioning the capability of them doing that, if I grab a third party, it would probably come out of that cost, so that's, what am I trying to say? So it's a look transparent that there might be an additional cost here, but I don't foresee that.
that's if you said, I don't know if that's quite, should it be as far, when I need a second opinion?
It's more of that I don't think the guy knows what he's doing type of thing, which I don't think is gonna be. Because this is really all they do.
Okay, and they did this before.
They do all of our inspection work,
Okay.
so they're kind of ahead of the game on knowing what needs to be done.
So we're gonna pay them $43,000 to watch the people do the work and inspect the work? Cause we don't trust the people that we hire to do the work? Or this is all part of like to get funding?
Well, it's kind of like,
Water services and stuff like that, I mean, they're checking the water, making sure that everything is clean before that.
keeping the, it's just kind of like how you pay us,
Inside too. Right?
you pay us to inspect and watch,
Every weld joint needs to be
On the inside too.
inspected
Yeah.
and then
Okay,
certified, checked out that it meets.
That's required by
Got it.
state, right? That they gotta be inspected like that.
Federal government.
That makes sense.
Big brother.
Boiled down to us, yeah, absolutely.
You know, you want, you wanted that metal blasted clean, no imperfections, you want somebody watching to make sure you get the adequate paint thickness and the conditions are right and everything else, so you can get 30 years out of it, as opposed to having, 10 years having to redo it.
How much would it be to install a glass tank?
A lot more than $43,000.
I need like an injection seat.
It's a pleasure of this committee.
We have to approve this, or are we just waiting for stuff, or are we saying, go Bob, go?
What would you like,
I think what you're looking for is direction from the committee on to go with KLM at the rates that they provided, right? And we're not talking about the paint and that, we're just talking about the inspection services and the engineering. I'll move to approve the fee summary schedule proposed by KLM Engineering estimates in the amount not to exceed it would be $80,006.50. And 11,000 that will be coming back. Do you want any caveat on that additional amount, or just approve the proposal as presented?
Brand Crum second.
What is that? Yes, yeah, to approve the proposal as presented. Okay. Discussion. I'm amending my motion to approve the proposal as presented. Rather than getting into all the total amount figures and stuff like that, because of that caveat in there, we want to make sure that it's at least
I second the amended motion.
discussion. None, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Pickleball quotes. The second guy to come in, but he didn't measure up. We're hoping that we've at least got some competitiveness there. It looks like your quote services came in pretty competitive compared to the second guy that put it in.
Good price. Yeah, that's who has done our other courts, and it's always good.
Yep.
And that price hasn't really went up that much, actually, surprisingly.
Hold it true on that. They didn't say anything about when they're gonna start this, or is it gonna be
He's still, they're both,
ready, fire, go?
gonna try to fit us in, so. I don't have an idea.
Well, can they commit to this year?
I can let them know right away that, it made it through committee, and I don't see any reason why the full board would reject.
But what I'm saying, that we get the pickleball courts yet this year. I don't wanna see them come like in fall. You?
Take
The
one.
other guy
take
could
one.
probably, either one of these, I mean, if you're talking about $2,300 difference between the two. If one of them can get them done and we can at least utilize the courts this year versus we're not gonna see them until next year and to save $2,300, would that be something worth?
I suggest taking a little bit.
Pardon?
I suggest taking a little bit.
What if we gotta wait? I think maybe we can get them, at least say, we'd like to at least get it done this year.
Well, I mean, once we get them, they'll be set up for a long time. Once they're in.
And they're gonna wanna squeeze it in to get their money, so.
Well, if you get a contract, they don't have to necessarily do it, though. If the other guy says, I can get it done this year, and you're looking at $2,300 extra, and we can at least utilize them, I don't know. I think,
So then I would have to explain to a contractor that we went with a higher bid, because he could get in here 3 weeks earlier.
no, I'm saying we put it to him if he can get it done this year. And if he says, no, I can't get it done this year, then we should come back to committee for consideration of whether or not we take a different bid at a higher cost.
Ready to make a motion to approve court surfaces and repair in the amount of $29,650 to get to it as soon as they can.
I'll second.
Motion made, and seconded. To approve court services repair, $29,650 to get to it as soon as possible. My only discussion is it should happen this summer. I would say if it's not gonna happen in 2025, then it should come back to the board, for this committee for other consideration. I can't see the other guy will get to it either.
Nope, I can call him and I can say, can get to that this year, and if not, I can say, well, you know, then we're gonna. we have another quote. I'll talk to both of them.
I think that might move them off the stick on it. I'd just like to see it happen this year.
Well, I mean, 29 grand would move me.
I get it. I totally get it. I'm with you.
Yeah.
So,
You're gonna go to the full board, so you'll probably have an answer.
perfect. So, the discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Tip 5 lift station utility task order.
So this is for the additional inspection for the public infrastructure related to the lift station as well as lateral 45 development. As we look at the timing of it, you know, we had to get going on the lift station project and you know, before things were all figured out with lateral 45, right? And then the lateral 45 development agreement kind of came forward. But what's missing from both of those is the construction observation that this covers for the storm sewer, the water, the road, all the public infrastructure that's going in and around lateral 45 there.
So is this on the developer or is this on us?
It's on you through the TID.
I understand that, but the
Sorry.
developer pays for a lot of the engineering costs for a specific part of that development, right? And my question is, who's on the hook for this? Like the last work order that we approved was going directly to the
Yeah, that
developer.
15,000 is going to them.
And is this going directly to the developer too, or are we getting this? Because didn't we already approve a task order for some of this work last year?
That was just for the, you know, the force main for the lift station, not the roads and all the storms.
Right, well, we're not talking roads though now. That's what I'm saying. I thought the roads was all part of the developer's agreement, not part of, now we're talking the roads. We already approved for storm drain, right? The storm pond engineering.
Yeah.
We approved for the lift station. Right? And now we're approving for that 15,000 for the developer's aspect. And now we're seeing $77,000 coming.
What's not included in the development agreement is the construction observation for the public utilities. That's my understanding.
so this was gonna be scheduled, we were gonna have to pay this.
That wasn't, I don't remember having that. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know I also, so I don't know exactly how this works, so this wasn't incorporated at the beginning, so this is a change order, even though it was something that we knew we were gonna need, or?
Yeah, it wasn't included in the development agreement. I wasn't part of that,
Okay,
but it's inspection that
Well, the
needs to be done because it's public infrastructure that you'll ultimately own and maintain the.
got it, because they're paying to put it in, but we're paying for the inspection of it. Because that's
We're gonna end up accepting it
kind of,
because of the.
so there really wouldn't have been a time for you to bill us for this then really until now then, right? Or less.
It just wasn't covered in any of the agreements.
Would
Maybe you could
some
just
of that
sneak
stuff
that into
come
some of
up,
those.
come up front before we kind of get into these developer agreements, so we know who we're dealing with, rather than waiting till after we start working on something and then, oh, hey, by the way, this is what, because to me, I look at this as a change order. You know, this wasn't something that was brought forward as, okay, we're looking at this, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
And
I see.
You know, I get where you're coming from, but I guess, I wasn't part of those closed sessions and, that sort of the the development agreement process there and, and I didn't know how that was all gonna shake out and things, but.
But if you would have,
This would be covered through the TID. I think if it would have been included in the TID, that agreement would have been different. So it's,
and they would have
If,
made
you know,
us
it's a-
cover it,
yeah, so your portion would have been a larger, the end result would kind of come out the same, but.
either way, we were gonna have to pay this. But I guess what I'm kind of with Donnie on this one, that it is nice to have a little bit more upfront to know that. But I get that we were gonna have to pay it either way, and we have to accept it, so I'm happy that we're inspecting it and that we're signing off on it, we're paying for the services, but
Sounds like it was a fault in the developer agreement.
I think so.
I think a lot of it was timing of everything too, because we didn't know when was,
Well, the bulk of the water and the sewer going in there are going to benefit the village, not kind of a multifamily. The multifamily is a small segment of that, and then the agreement was, would you, the developer, put in all the other infrastructure for us, build the roads, do all this, and they would agree to that based off of the incentive that we gave back to them. So that was
Absolutely true.
a $5 million versus them doing it at 3.4.
Right, and then we had a pay go, which we agreed to, but had knowing, for us, we kind of look at the synopsis of how the TID is performing and stuff like that, and to not see a $77,000 bill, that all of a sudden now we got a $77,000 bill on, and I'm not saying it's not worth it anything on this, Chuck, don't get me wrong, what I'm saying is, how are we coming forward going, oh, now we got another bill that we're seeing on something when we would have proved it, we would have said, well, wait a minute, we gotta finance for another, engineering cost to accept this road.
Maybe,
Is there some way, are we looking to,
maybe it'd be best if, I don't mean to interrupt, but maybe it'd be best if Chuck and I just sat down, go through everything again. And just make sure we didn't miss overdoing something or underdoing something, but
we can put together some things that, yeah,
and then we can get something clear to you with.
Cause I'm sure if you look at all the money of everything going into this $77,000 is probably like, what? 2%, 1% of the total cost of the project, so I can understand.
Yeah.
I can understand missing, 1% of something.
There is a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of confusion, but there needed to be a lot of understanding of, we got two different contractors up there, who's starting, who's finishing, where are you putting this in, are we putting this in?
Yeah, the
There's been a
handshake,
bunch of changes in our agreements, so. I mean, I think yesterday I got another one that it was a drop manhole that
but they're gonna have to
they
pay
kind
for
of pushed back on it, and we said, no, you're gonna put that in.
mm-hmm,
So there's been a lot, so does that sound okay if Chuck and I just come back and we'll get something?
okay, well,
it. Well,
you got a 2027, completion date. What's the payment schedule on this too?
that's, the bulk of it is this spring,
Okay,
they're doing it. I just put the 2027 in there because of
Okay, I just
the
see-
warranty period.
I just seen it and I'm like, okay, so we're gonna drag this out over 2 years.
No, no,
I didn't
no.
know if we were able to pay for it over 2 years because anything that can go into 2026, we can budget for accordingly. But none of this was brought forward in any kind of budgets of our TID or anything like that, and that's where I'm kind of throwing on my head, going, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, if you got it, wanna take it back and take a look at it a little bit more and, come back with it.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable with it.
That's probably the best, so you guys will understand and.
so you're gonna take this change order back and then come back with a change order with
We'll just,
more, or do you
maybe-
want this one
well,
approved? like
I
this
think we
one
need
is,
to-
or-
itemize the thing a little bit better, to throw everything out in front, to say, this is for the lift station, this is for the pipes going to the lift station, this is for the utilities
That
going
would
to
be-
the road. This is the private part, this is the public part.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
So we'll move the table, or you wanna just, move the table until,
Point of information, it's a task order.
Yes.
That is, I did
noted.
duly noted.
So move the table task order, on MSA project number 80.
Well, are we gonna bring that timeframe to the next board meeting, or are we gonna bring it to the next public works meeting?
Up to you guys.
What works for you?
You okay coming back to Public Works? It's just we got a short window to get to next Tuesday.
Yeah, well, that's true. And that's fine. Meanwhile, the work continues out there, that's the only thing, so.
I'm sure we're good for it.
We aren't gonna hold it up, the county's probably gonna hold it up. though.
We'll table, MSA project numbers, task order 0878311 till review next month committee meeting.
Ready to go second?
Motion made seconded, to table, task order, I'm not gonna repeat it again, until next month. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carried. Road surfacing projects.
Johnny, you put that on there.
I did, yes, because we were originally, we talked with Bob and we were looking at, you know, if there was additional roads or what we should do, we're looking at for possible reworking this year. I know a lot of people have been talking about potholes and this, that, and the other, so I know Hud Street was one of them that was on the HUD and Parnell. Is there something that we could look at for this year on that, and, or, you also mentioned Maine,
Main Street's gonna deteriorate the quickest just because it's heavily traveled.
right?
The other streets are Reed and Shea, Evergreen Drive, Red Pine Drive. And Evergreen would only come down to the first cul-de-sac, so not the entire roadway. But we have, some drainage elevations that are not allowing the water to get into our gutter line.
Up in White Pine and,
Whispering Pines.
Whispering Pines on the north, Whispering Pines north.
So
I
that
wouldn't
one's
look
gonna
at
be
that.
a little bit more of a project. We're probably gonna have to set some curbs down lower or higher.
LaGranger was already on the list, right? To be resurfaced, redone, no, not LaGranger, LaGranger's pretty bad too.
But I know we
That
had,
one gets beat up pretty bad.
Yep, we can throw it in there for consideration. Typically, I don't get a lot of complaints from businesses, but residential's, they'll let me know. They're not happy with their roads. So
Yeah, that,
I kind of take that as guidance, like, all right.
I'd like to put LaGrange on it because right in front of the bus stop there, right in front of the bus station there, it's really bad. And then on top of it, the paths are gonna be going by there, so and there'll be more people walking and more traffic.
so how do we wanna proceed here with these road surfing projects? Do we wanna put a list out there? We wanna just say fix, and then you figure out how much you can afford and we go from there?
Do we
Or,
have data?
we had originally the
Which roads are
20,
driving the most?
we had a 5-year plan, I think, right? Isn't it a 5-year or 3-year?
5.
So we had a 5-year plan that was given to us, and like last year, we didn't do anything because we were kind of construction out. And so we all kind of, all those projects kind of got tabled.
Yeah.
And so I was hoping that we could at least bring those projects back to the forefront and get them in front of us. And then if we have to deal with any others for triage or whatever you wanna call it, but I would like to at least see us handling the 2024 projects in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see the data of how it's traveled. I get there's complaints and stuff like that, but I'd like to go purely based on traffic.
And our worst road is Parnell, which is Larry by Veterans Park and Church. That road's been,
HUD's starting to deteriorate pretty bad too.
It's like a dirt road at this point.
HUD Germain, sorry. Germain is, the parallel runs by,
Yep.
up them.
yep,
by
that's
the
all
park.
included on that is.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hi Brenda, we can hear you.
Hey, Raymond Street too.
I have it on here, Brenda.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an area in Raymond Street, area in the corner, it's got about a half an inch of blacktop, I don't know that. It's not good, but
Quality.
gotta watch the paving crews. 'Cause they'll skid
That's
up.
why we gotta pay for this task order to watch people.
So Germain, Parnell would be probably our worst streets, you're saying? And Maine,
Maine is, yeah, Maine. There's a little aesthetic element to that one too, since we got
Coming in.
all this new pavement and then we
Yeah.
have,
Main Street.
you know, all the water running down it. That's where we get those potholes, chuck holes that open up in the expansion joints.
So could I make a recommendation then that we would proceed with looking at surfacing of Parnell and Germain and Main Street due to the aesthetics, and if there's anything else, what was your
The Granger.
LaGranger and Raymond?
Yep.
For this, for 2025 project? Should we make that in a, should I make that in a form of a motion? I'll make that in a form of a motion.
I'll second.
Recommend this resurfacing Parnell and Germain and Main Street for the aesthetic aspect of it with if there's anything left over for LaGranger and Raymond.
Saying resurfacing or?
Fix.
Mill and Relay,
I
right?
don't know, really.
Are we gonna have to do anything with Red and Evergreen, or is that something that that would just needs to be handled? Cause I know we had a complaint about that for as far as, or, right? Up in Whispering Pines where that curb is that something that needs to be put on this motion too?
No, not necessarily. That'll be included with cost after we, you know, what we can do.
Okay,
Maybe that basis needs to come up a little bit.
okay, yeah.
Can open to the community or comment. Oh, sorry.
Motion made,
Second.
motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Can we recoup any cost from the county as a result of us needing that to be a detour? LaGranger needing to be a detour
State,
state?
I said that all along. Because the state,
Great.
the state's got more money than the county.
Well, whoever, but that had to be, that road took a beating as a result of a detour, as a result of them closing the road. Is there any avenue for us to recoup any of those costs? No,
Well, they did spot repair areas.
They overlaid 190, didn't they?
You didn't?
and they lost the pipes. Can't they help us out? Well, I can't find the pipes, beating up our roads.
With that, what are they good for?
LRIP, it was, I can apply for it next year. Johnny, I mentioned that, I applied. And, you know, the bad news is, and there's good news, the bad news is there's communities with much worse roads than us, so. The bad news is we didn't get any grant funding for it.
Good news is we're not one of those communities.
Further discussion? Like discussion, I think I have on it, so Parnell, we're going from Spring to Germain, right?
Spring Francis is the hope.
Spring to Francis, okay, just wanna make sure, so Spring to Francis, and then Parnell, I'm sorry, Germain from Francis.
That's all one.
Okay, that whole loop.
Yep.
And then if we got extra, just clarifying that, you're gonna look at LaGranger for itemizing and see if we can get some, you know, stuff done there, and there's a repair on Raymond. You're saying, okay, yeah, all right.
What we might also be able to look at is just doing the driving lanes. And then we would recondition those, leave the sides, because LaGranger's a very wide road.
Yes,
And we would have to make a determination if all that needs to be milled, or if we can just do the driving lanes.
so do we wanna table LaGranger for further discussion on this, or?
Okay, I can get the quotes.
Okay,
It's good to go,
Once I get a contractor out.
but thanks for letting us know that it could be more, so it's not a surprise.
And Parnell could also be more because we do not think that there's any base under that road.
but it needs to be fixed.
Yes. it does.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye. All opposed, nay? Carried. Dog park locations. I put this on here also, because we originally were going to do it in TID 5, where the DNR said that we weren't going to be able to do it now. And I asked for locations because people on this committee, and myself included, have already committed the fact that we were not going to be going into any of the current parks. So I don't know what was said out there, whatever the case was gonna be, but that's not what this committee had told me, unless they're changing a position that I don't know about. So that being said, we need to look at different locations. I put this on here because I thought that I would have a spot located and might be available as a public-private possible donation type deal, where somebody was willing to lease the land to the village and allow us to use it for a dog park for a period of time. But I haven't been able to get those discussions to materialize. I think a dog park is a good addition to our community. I've hinted the trustees concerns with regards to enforcement of current ordinances, but I think what I'm trying to do is locate a spot that would work. We have fencing that was donated by a private individual, and people that recouped that, took that fencing down for the purpose of a dog park and putting it up in 2026. We thought we had a spot located already. We were all ready to go, and then we got the bad news, so we had to put it back on the agenda. If we did find
Way to go, Chuck.
if we did find a dog park location, my suggestion, I'm not ready for anything today on it, because I was hoping that we'd have something, but if there is a possibility of individuals or landowners that are willing to offer something like that up, I would guess, I don't know, but I would guess I'd like to talk to legal about it if the village is able to lease that land, to give them some liability, because the bigger concern that the private landowner would have would be a liability if somebody got injured on their property.
It is parking too, difficult with, there's the land and then there's also the parking. And some of those
Exactly.
things, and
So there's a liability of allowing public people on their property, so.
Has this topic been brought up at any of your joint meetings with the town?
Yes, I did bring it up, not at a joint meeting. We brought it up at to a couple of the trustees. And they continue to say, dog parks are a great thing.
So
Well, they kind
after-
of said their thing was, why don't you put it in Parnell and get
Because the
prairie
Katie
grass?
does not want that there. The town,
Well, it's also a disc golf area and, we don't want to turn that Parnell Prairie into, amusement park. We get that.
I was just wondering if that conversation's ever been brought up with the town, and the town hall has some excess land up there that could potentially work, and there's parking there, and it's not in a neighborhood area.
Behind it.
And a lot of the requests came from townspeople to have
Where
a dog park,
are you referencing that?
town hall.
Right at the hall there?
Like to the left of it where the snow.
There's
to
a
the west of
piece
it.
by LaGranger, then there's a piece on Highway 64 that is an irregular lot, but.
Then they could have a walking path, the walking path leads right to it.
Right.
We could walk their dog right there.
Well, my suggestion would be bringing, if you could email that to me and I'll definitely, take it to them.
So I'd say we'll provide the fencing.
I'll talk to Lenny.
Town dreams come true.
Yeah, send me,
Joint, it could be a
send me the
joint.
locations that you have on that, everything is up right now. When I say everything is up, with the exception, we've already committed that we're not gonna touch any of our current parks. So that, I've heard from the people that I won't be.
These elected officials have committed.
Yeah, I won't be advocating for anything like that.
Remember
Reflect-
that.
Yeah.
But I will say that it's in here. Dog park, most viable location for dog park is LaGranger Park.
Yeah.
Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck put that there, but we didn't agree to that, so.
No,
Well, again, I
Should've
don't
known
have
what you
privy
were
to private
stepping in.
land or whatever, but
Sure.
there's stormwater ponds that don't make good dog parks and,
What's
yeah,
the
that town land, you know, that there's kind of like a triangle irregular piece there that could work if you could get them to play ball.
Well, I know they're talking about building another shed up there too, so.
county line to do
Yeah, you're just gonna, yeah, they have the snowmobile trail that.
I'll
comes
paint it up
back.
for you.
Yeah, send it over to
that.
us.
Send it to you all tomorrow.
So for the time being, I guess we're just gonna table that until we can find out for it. What, you know, appreciate you guys coming out for that and talking, you know, and giving us your opinions on it and know that your opinions do matter and we do hear them. And we are advocating in your direction, so. But we do think that it would make a very nice addition to this community and we hope
In the right
that
place.
it'll come to fruition someday.
We get a dog park built, Deb, I'm gonna buy you a dog.
Public Works
You know?
Department report?
I'm gonna be the license checker.
Alrighty. Thanks, Deb, have a good
Thanks,
night.
Deb.
I stay here, I have to go get some food.
Yeah. I had a chance to review the report, everything looked good, the one thing that I really liked on here is we'll be able to sell some of our prime grade A sludge to Colfax.
Are we selling it or just dropping it off there?
They're gonna haul it. And that was at a,
So they're basically, we don't have to pay the freight to haul it, right? So we're saving the shipping costs, yeah.
so keep eating whatever you're eating.
Beans. Lots of beans.
Any further discussion or any questions on the Department of Works report, Public Works Department report? Otherwise, things like going to.
Great job, Bob.
Yeah, the streets were good, I got compliments that the streets were very good from people who lived in other towns in regards to that one heavy snow we got, so. Thought the guys did a good job, appreciate it.
Really appreciate that.
Next item, Public Works bills.
Kilgore, make a motion to accept the public works bills as submitted.
Brandon Crowe, second.
Say that again. I didn't hear you.
Accept the public
Accept.
works bills
Are
as,
we approving them or recommending them for approval?
yes.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded to recommend the bills as approved, for approval. The board. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Here you go, Brandon. Future agenda items.
Yeah, I think we need a discussion, how we're gonna start moving that ball field. Plan for what
So
we're gonna do with that ball, at least the one ball field to start.
some conversation that I've had with several residents is that the second or the backfield is never used.
Well, I hear that they say it's never used, but I still don't like the optics of taking out one. When we say we need baseball fields and we need to grease the skids on getting them up at the school or somewhere else anyways.
I think what you're asking for is you wanna have a joint discussion with the school.
Yeah, and I can maybe I'll talk to Shannon.
Shannon did send out a request to meet with us and it was never followed up on. It was even back and forth, if you remember.
Yeah,
So
I think some
hopefully-
of us agree.
I think once we get through this whole election thing, then
Yeah,
I think they'd be willing to sit down with the boards and,
whoever's left.
yeah. Does that make sense then? Are we gonna talk about having them come to a public works meeting? Or, cause we're talking about future agenda items here.
Yeah, I guess I just wanna have the discussion. I want it to be an agenda item for us to
Amy,
talk about what we're gonna do with that ball field.
when's the election?
April Fool's Day, you're up,
So
you're up for election.
Our park meeting is gonna be after that.
So what are you saying,
If
cancel
I
it?
don't get elected, I'll still show up. How's that?
I can't guarantee I will show up if I don't get elected. He's a bigger man than
Not
I
with
am.
that shirt on here. If you're out trying to
If
get.
we don't get elected, are we run that
I second that.
Any other,
We have one more
back?
meeting.
any other future agenda items?
So we're still on the board.
Yeah, we got one.
I have none at this time.
So
So I just
we're
wanted,
just having discussion about ball field placement on the next, village board meeting in addition to the items that have been tabled coming to this.
yeah, I just wanna have a discussion. I wanna have a discussion about the ball field.
And not with the school then.
Well, we'll hopefully invite the school, maybe
Yeah.
they can come and participate in our
I'll
discussion.
I'll talk to Shannon.
Okay, are there any other future agenda items that need to come before us? Next meeting, great, the final motion is in order,
Move to adjourn.
Second,
motion made to adjourn, seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
aye.
Aye, meeting adjourned at 6:45 PM, thanks for coming, everyone, appreciate your time and your input.
Did you hear from